In the past 24 months, Cam has bought 160 houses. Go back 24 months, you own 0 houses. Flash forward 24 months, he's bought 160 houses. And unfortunately, that's not even the most impressive part. So in this video, we're gonna talk about the top 5 things that Cam learned at the beginning of his real estate investing career. And at the end, we're gonna tell you the very, very most important thing that he learned in order to create financial freedom. Let's go.
Let's do it.
So Cam, take me back 2 years. What did your life look like? Income, net worth, how much real estate did you have 24 months ago?
Yes. So 2 years ago, my income was $45,000 a year.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it was great, man.
Not in Colorado, but.
No, in Colorado it was terrible. But it was $45,000 a year. My net worth, I had about $60,000 in student loans. So my net worth was negative $60,000.
Net worth was in the red.
Yes, it was in the red. And I owned 0 houses. I didn't know anything about real estate 2 years ago.
So flash forward 24 months later, what does it look like now?
So balancing statements aside, this is not to brag. I just want to share with you because I think anybody can do it because I'm an absolute idiot.
I promise if he can do it, anybody can do it.
But my income is probably about 15 times what it was, 2 years ago.
You're welcome. Okay.
About 15 times what it was 2 years ago. My net worth, we just surpassed $3 million in
just
net
in
worth.
your rentals, probably, right?
Yeah. So we own. Right now, we're a little over $7 million in real estate that we own, and just because we've bought them, wholesale deals and turned them into rentals, I think we owe right around 4 on that. So
he's got at least $3 million worth of net worth just in his rentals, is making more money than this crazy guy knows what to do with, all in the last 24 months because of the 5 things we're going to talk about in this video. So you're excited about learning those 5 things. Make sure to hit that like button. We'd really appreciate it. He likes to brag when his videos do good on my YouTube channel. So hit that like button so he can have some bragging rights around the office.
Let's get 100,000 views.
I like to make fun of him a little bit around the office, but that is extremely impressive. When I talked to Cam a couple years ago, he did not work for us, but he kind of got involved in our network, and now he's crushing it, doing a ton of stuff on the side and buying a ton of houses as well. So he took an incredible path, and honestly, the reason we did this video is not to brag on him, but anybody can do this. Literally almost anybody watching this, you watching this video can do what Cam did, and you can definitely do it, at that speed, if not faster, with these 5 things we're going to talk about in this video. So let's talk about these 5 things that you kind of have learned over the past 24 months so that people watching this video can hopefully kind of get there quicker. If you knew these 5 things when you got started, I kind of tried to help you a little bit, but you'd be even better off. So let's get into the top 5 things. So here are the top 5 things that Cam has learned to help him get from where he was to where he is. And I promise these top 5 things are not on any other video on YouTube. So let's start with 1 and work our way to 5. So the number 1 thing you did is you believed in yourself. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I think that is definitely the most important part that took me from where I was to where I am. Because we've said this already, there's nothing special about me. I am a communications major. I'm not very smart. I am a very handsome individual.
My head hurts. Stop talking about yourself.
There's not very many great things about me, but one thing that I did do is I believed in myself. So two sayings that I love to tell myself, I actually got them written up in my office at home on the wall, and it's bet on yourself. Bet on yourself. I'm going to bet on myself every single time. And the other thing is someone's going to do it. Why not you? And one of the reasons I do that is because I listen to guys like Sam or people on like the Bigger Pockets podcast or just anywhere, and I hear all these people that have millions and millions of dollars of real estate, have taken down hundreds of homes, and in my mind, I'm like, I could never do that. But then I have to remind myself, like, they're doing it. Someone's going to do it. Why can't it be me? And so I 100% believe in myself and in the systems that we've created and the fact that I can do it. Like I'm going to bet on myself every single time and I'm going to go for it.
Yeah, so just believe in yourself and be okay with failure, because I've kind of been saying this recently, the sooner you fail, the sooner you're going to succeed. You're not going to succeed without failing. So if you bet on yourself and have belief in yourself, when you hit those road bumps and when you hit those failures, because you're going to, there's no way you're going to succeed without failing. the sooner you fail, the sooner you're going to succeed. So believing in yourself will help push you through, because I mean, you've had incredible 24 months. I can't even imagine what you're going to do in the next 24 months, but it's still like this, right? So if you believe in yourself, you will get out of the lows a little bit quicker.
Like our first flip that we did, we lost money on. I didn't know what I was doing. I bought a house way overpriced. I underestimated the rehab budget. I think we ended up losing 15 or 20 grand on our very first rehab deal.
So your net worth went even
lower.
Yeah,
so it was negative 80,000 then. And so I lost money on that. And like even right now as I'm sitting here, I've got a wholesale deal on the board that I'm gonna lose $20,000 on. But believing in yourself, knowing that I can overcome those obstacles, knowing that, you know, the next wholesale deal, I'm gonna make that back, hopefully, you know, so
if not more.
Yeah, want to believe in myself all the time, and you know, not let those failures get into my head, and know that I can overcome that.
Nice. Number two is lean on others. You know, I joke about you, you're obviously an intelligent dude, but you're smart enough to know that you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know it all. So leaning on other people, I feel like, has been a huge part of what you've done. Why don't you talk a little bit about that, and I'll make sure you brag on Faster Freedom enough. If you don't, I'll plug that in.
No, I will. So 2 years ago, I moved back from Colorado, and I was friends with this dude on Facebook. We hadn't talked in probably 10 years. He's a lot older than me, obviously, as you can tell from the camera. 4 years. You're 4 years older.
34.
I'm 30.
Okay.
So he's 4 years older than me. So we were friends on Facebook, and I would see him post every once in a while about properties that he had, properties that he was flipping, selling, whatever. And so I randomly reached out to you on Facebook and was like, hey man, I know nothing about real estate, but I want to get involved. And so Sam texted me back or messaged me back and said, hey, let's meet for breakfast. And I sat down with him, and he kind of took me through his entire process, took me through wholesaling, rentals, flips, and I was like, that's somebody I want to be like. And so honestly, I sat under Sam a lot and learned a lot from him, and then from his education company, Faster Freedom. I joined their mentorship program without buying a house. I spent $5,000
believing in himself
on the mentorship program, because I was like, I don't know anything about this, and I know that paying for some education is going to expedite the process of learning. And so I signed up for the mastermind with having zero houses, so it took my net worth to negative 85,000. So
yeah,
we're going down.
Going
right
down.
Now.
But Cam had the self-awareness to know they didn't know it all, and I'd like to take credit for all of Cam's success. Unfortunately, I can't. But just having somebody that's been there, done that, and is where you are or where you want to be, just kind of give you a little, keep you in the lane, I like to say. Yeah. Just, you know, I didn't go walk every house with you. I didn't do any of that, but I just gave you the structure through the mentorship and everything to just help you do it right the first time, or at least not make as many mistakes. Because people make so many mistakes in their first 5 deals that I would say over half people just stop. But if you can just be a little bit better on those first 5 deals, you can do what Cam did, if not more.
Yeah, and in the Faster Freedom Mentorship Program, there's so many people in that. You know, there's people that are just as successful as Sam, all the way down to people that were just starting like me. So I had a great sounding board for people who have already been through what I've been through. I was able to see, you know, people that were super successful and know, like, hey, you know what, right now is just a learning process when I'm losing money on houses, and be able to work towards that. So just having that mentorship program, having those people that I could lean on, that I could call when things were going wrong, that I could share my wins with, but I could also share my struggles and failures with, that was huge. I mean, it changed everything for me.
Yeah, and every successful real estate investor I know is investing in some type of education, whether it be mastermind, mentorship, coaching, whatever it is. Every single one invests in themselves and in other people. All right. Number 3, this one's a little bit more tactical, but it's extremely important. It's helped you buy so many so quickly, and you were able to quickly figure out what ARVs, or after repair values, of distressed houses are, and be able to quickly figure out a roundabout rehab budget. So if you can figure out what it's going to be worth once it's fixed up and what it's going to take to fix it up, you'll be able to put offers inside houses the first time you walk them. So kind of walk through how you learn that that process of calculating the ARV and being able to calculate rehab numbers.
Yeah, so I think what sets me apart from a lot of other people when purchasing houses is definitely my style, but also I make an offer on the spot every single time. I think that's the best way to lock down a deal. And so how I did that was I honestly became a student of St. Louis real estate. I learned every zip code. I learned the ARVs of every house in the zip code. I learned what rents go for in every single zip code. I learned construction budgets, rehab budgets. So I would be able to go to a house, and if you tell me, it's a 3-2 in Florissant, it's a brick ranch, I'm going to know that's a $160,000, $170,000 house. It's probably going to rent out for $1,300 to $1,400 a month, and I can walk that house, determine a rehab budget just through walking it, and I can make an offer to them on the spot. Same with Dutchtown, same with South City, this is St. Louis specific, but I just learned St. Louis so well that now I can go to any house in basically St. Louis metropolitan area, make an offer, know that it's a good offer, it's fair to the seller, it's fair to us, and a lot of times lock up that deal, because a lot of people go home, they'll run numbers, and I think it's so much better
or
when
they'll
I
call
can,
somebody else.
Yeah, when I can communicate with the seller and sit them down and tell them exactly what their house is worth, tell them what the rehab's gonna be, tell them my offer, and so that's probably the best way that I've locked up deals, and probably one of the biggest keys to my success is I just became a student of St. Louis real estate, and I know everything about St. Louis real estate.
And
Not
if you're new to
learning,
you're still learning.
But-
It changes, but
yeah.
if you're new to it, you might be scared. I have no idea what all this stuff costs. Well, just learn a little bit. And if you're new, especially, and I think you probably did this a little more at first, is you can have, offer something fair for both of you, but you can have like a week or 2 week contingency in the offer. Like, you don't have to lock it up on the spot and, oh my gosh, I have to pay $150,000 for this house now. If you lock it up for $150,000 and you communicate with the seller and you say, can I have a week to get some contractors in to confirm my numbers or to get a partner in here? Most of the time, the sellers are just fine with that, especially if you've built some rapport. So don't think your first 5 houses you have to offer on the spot and stick to that number. Offer something that's fair, and then if you need to have a contingency in there, just allows you to be a little more safe.
100%. So I did that when I first started. Now I've gotten to the point, because I do think it separates me, is I offer on houses with no inspections and no contingencies. And my offer is good, which is why I'm going to lose $20,000 on a wholesale, because it was a terrible offer.
And you stuck to it, though.
I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to have integrity in that. But when I first started, I definitely offered with a partner inspection period, is what I told them, and that was essentially to get another set of eyes on the property to help me with that offer.
For sure. Numero cuatro, number 4, get involved in your local community, online and in person. Why don't you talk a little bit how when you moved back to St. Louis, you just dove headfirst into the meetups and the online groups?
Yeah. So I knew that this kind of goes back to number 2 of leaning on others. When I moved back from Colorado, the first thing that goes along with number 2, but I knew that I needed people, I needed a network to lean on, and I needed to learn from other people. And so when I moved back from Colorado to St. Louis, I got online and I found every real estate investors meetup that was going on in St. Louis. And I literally every night or every other night, I was going to some sort of meetup to learn from other people. And what was amazing about that is I met some of the best people through that. I met my contractors, like the contractors that we use, who are absolutely amazing. Never going to give you their names, but I met them through a local meetup. I met some of my best wholesalers through a meetup. There's one wholesaler I think he's made $300,000 off of me, and I've made a couple $100,000 off of him in the last year. But I met him at a local meetup. I've met agents that have sold me houses at meetups. I've met so many people from local meetups that has contributed to my business and has taken us to the next level. And so for anybody that's watching this, if you want to take your real estate business to the next level or even get started, one of the first steps is go to your local meetups. Like, go just meet people, because those people that you're going to meet are going to give you the education that you need to grow and to take it to the next level.
I love it. So number 5 kind of ties it all together, and I'm looking down at our list here as you were talking, Cam. Everything is kind of about continuous learning and always be learning and not trying to do it on your own, paying for mentorships or leaning on your local community. And this one is just kind of something that I feel like you've done incredible at, is you're always learning.
Yeah.
I mean, you could talk a little bit about, Brandon Turner with Bigger Pockets now, so you're willing to always be learning, right?
Paid
so
to know him.
You paid, but you still, right? But so you paid to know him, so you're always learning. You listen to Bigger Pockets. He won't admit to it, but he listens to our YouTube and watches and always is learning from other people, whether it be in your car driving or hanging out at house, you're always learning. So why don't you talk about how you're continuously learning and working on your mindset?
Yeah, so I think there's the steps of getting involved in like a local mentorship program, and there's the steps, or even a national mentorship program or a meetup, but I also think there's that personal responsibility of, and I said this earlier, but just becoming a student of your craft. And so I invested a ton of money up front before I'd ever bought a house. Joining your mentorship program, I bought rehab budget calculators online. I think I paid $500 for one. Wouldn't do it now, but at
And
the
we
time,
have that, but
yes.
but we didn't have it at the time.
We didn't
so
have, I paid $500 for a rehab rental calculator, so I could know what because I've never rehabbed a house before, so I could know what a rehab would cost. I signed up for programs. I bought every Bigger Pockets book that I could get my hands on. I listened to every Bigger Pockets podcast.
You took my free book too, right? You
Yeah,
got that.
exactly. I took that. It was great. But I spent thousands and thousands of hours just learning about real estate. And I continue to this day. Like, I haven't gotten to, oh, I'm successful now and I've bought a couple houses, so now I know everything. Like, I continue to learn. I continue to invest in my education. And so this last year, I've probably spent 40 grand in continuous learning and
you probably
education.
have made 10, 20 times that over time just by investing in that.
Yeah.
It
Just
10x is everything. when you
It
do
does, yeah. So I've probably spent that on different masterminds that I'm involved in nationally, meeting with people. You know, I've spent a ton of money, but like you said, I 10x that just in the networks that I've created and the learning that has happened there. And so I think that's so important for somebody that's getting into real estate. I have so many people ask me, you know, can you teach me this? Can you teach me this? And I try and sit down with as many people as I can, but in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking like, dude, there's a podcast on this. Like, I don't necessarily have the time. Like, there's a podcast on this. There's a YouTube video on this. Like, I did that myself because I didn't want to bother you at first when I first met you. So I was like, I'm gonna watch every YouTube video. And then when I came and met with you, it was more prepared because I'd learned a bunch, but then I had questions about what
You
I
had legitimate
learned
questions, for
rather
sure.
than, you know, I've had people ask me to go out to coffee or dinner or lunch, and they'll sit down and they'll be like, tell me everything you know about real estate. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, I want to get started. I'm like, so what do you know? And they're like, I don't know. That's why I'm sitting down with you. And I'm like, this is a waste of time.
And then you just kind of just give them surface level stuff
Exactly.
and you're done, yeah.
So like if you invest in that education, then you have kind of the equity with somebody sitting down to ask them questions. Because I love sitting down with somebody and talking, you know, real estate, but I don't want to just sit there and kind of give you that surface level stuff. I want to talk real estate, you know. So if you are somebody that has asked me to coffee and that was you,
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I really like you. I promise.
Yeah, okay.
No, I do. I really do.
I know, I'm kidding. So Cam is special, if you can't tell, but there's nothing that he has done that anybody watching can't do. Cam has literally achieved financial freedom in 2 years. That financial freedom doesn't mean retirement. It just means you're able to, if you want to, take a step back or stop or pump the brakes. But Cam wants to create hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars worth of real estate, worth of, you know, net worth. So he's just scratching the surface of what he's going to do. But what he's done the past 24 months is extremely impressive, and you can do that too, for sure. And it's not going to hurt your chances. You're not guaranteed to do what Cam did. But if you subscribe, it's not going to hurt your chances, I promise. So make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. And who knows, you could be the next Cam, or you could be sitting here and you know, just making Cam kind of look like a low guy because you went and crushed it even more.
And I hate to brag on Sam. Because I don't like him as a person, but no, I'm kidding. But legitimately, I attribute almost all of my success, honestly, all of it, because I wouldn't have gotten started if I didn't meet him, to him and to learning from him, and the fact that he said, you know, hey, let's go grab breakfast, you know, 2 years ago when you had a million things going on, and you sat down and you kind of, we talked about real estate and talked about what you were doing, and so. So Sam is a guy that you want to learn from. It's taken my, you know, career to the next level.
I love
It's
it.
changed my life, which I hate saying that about him.
Subscribe and like while we hug it out.
Let's hug it out. Oh, should we kiss?
No.